Hi everyone, welcome back. I appreciate you being here with me today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. My name is Vincent. I had just gotten home from work. I hadn't even taken off my shoes when my wife said, "We need to talk." Now, you'd think that after being married for a while, I'd be able to tell what's coming just by her tone or the look on her face. But that night, I couldn't read to her. I didn't know what she was about to say, but what came next unraveled everything I thought I understood about our marriage, about her, and even about myself. When I think back on those 2 years of marriage with Kathy, the first thing that comes to mind is how strangely cold everything always felt. There was never any real spark between us, no warmth, no deep intimacy. We did the things couples are supposed to do, ate dinner together, went out once in a while, smiled for pictures, but it always felt like we were playing roles instead of actually living them. I'd reach out to help her with things around the house or offer to ease her stress, thinking that maybe if I just showed her how much I cared, she'd feel safer with me. But it never landed that way. Almost every time I tried to step in, whether it was taking care of the bills, cooking, running errands, or even just asking how her day went, she'd either brush me off or react like I was doing something wrong. The smallest things turned into arguments. If I folded the laundry, she'd say I did it the wrong way. If I offered advice, she'd take it as criticism. At first, I was just confused. I couldn't understand why basic kindness, normal effort, seemed to irritate her. I'd replay conversations in my head, wondering if I had said something out of line. I'd apologize for things I didn't even believe I did wrong, just to keep the peace. And every time we had a fight, which started becoming more and more frequent, I would be the one to reach out, to say sorry, to try and mend things. I kept telling myself that maybe she just needed more time or was still healing from something I couldn't see. But even my patience became a weapon in her hands. If I didn't come crawling back after an argument, she'd respond by withdrawing completely, emotionally and physically. Sometimes, days would pass without a single kind word or even basic physical affection. She'd roll over in bed, turn her back to me, and stay there like I didn't exist. And it hurt. Not just the silence, but the way she used that silence. As if affection was something I had to earn by constantly proving my worth, over and over again, with no end in sight. It didn't matter how much I gave, it was never enough. We fought at one point, and the words she said cut through me like glass. In the middle of all the shouting, she just stopped, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "I regret everything." That sentence didn't fully register at the time. I was too stunned to even respond. I thought maybe it was just heat-of-the-moment cruelty, something said to wound. It was like a puzzle piece I didn't know I was missing finally clicked into place, but the picture didn't make sense yet. So on the night she said we needed to talk, I followed her to hear what she had to say. She finally joined me on the couch, but she didn't look at me. She said she was tired of pretending every day like things were okay. Then she said, "This isn't what I pictured when I imagined being married." But before I could even respond, she followed it up with something even heavier. She said, "I never loved you, Vincent." I didn't understand what she meant at first. I just stared at her, trying to make the words mean something else. But she didn't backtrack. She said she had hoped that love would come after the wedding, that maybe being married to someone kind and dependable would spark those feelings over time. But it never happened. 3 years later, and she still felt nothing. I just sat there, frozen, trying to make sense of everything. All the moments I thought we were connecting. I started replaying them in my head, questioning if any of it was ever real. Her confession made the past 2 years feel like a lie I hadn't been letting on. I was confused and completely shattered in silence. When I first met Kathy years ago, I honestly thought I had stumbled into something special. She seemed a bit guarded, but still carried herself with quiet strength. We met at a friend's small gathering. Something about her drew me in. I later learned that was because she had just come out of a pretty rough relationship. She didn't talk about it at first. In fact, she avoided it whenever I tried to ask, so I respected her silence. I figured she'd open up when she was ready. A few months into seeing each other, she finally told me that her ex had been physically abusive. She told me she left him for good, but she didn't hide the fact that some part of her still missed him. That confused me at the time, but I brushed it off. I told myself that love is complicated, that sometimes people feel things they can't explain. I didn't want to judge her. I just wanted to be someone she could feel safe with. And I tried. I went out of my way to make her feel cared for. She smiled at those gestures. She even said she appreciated me for being different. Back then, I held on to those moments like proof that I was making progress, that she was slowly warming up to me. But looking back now, I realized those smiles were more politeness than passion. It was almost like she was performing the role of someone who was trying to move on, hoping that maybe if she played the part long enough, the feelings would eventually follow. Her confession, much later into our marriage, about never loving me hit differently once I looked back on how we started. It explained everything. The disconnect, the constant misunderstandings, the arguments that came out of nowhere. She wasn't reacting to what I was doing wrong. She was reacting to being in something she never wanted to be in, and I happened to be the person standing in front of her. That's a bitter pill to swallow, knowing that while I was offering real love, she was offering just enough to keep things afloat. Not out of malice, just survival. I remember just sitting there, staring at her. She had married me not because she saw a future with me, but because she was trying to forget someone else. I was supposed to be the bandage for that wound, the rebound guy. She tried to cushion the blow by saying it wasn't my fault, that I was a good man, and I treated her well. But those words felt hollow. You don't tell someone they were your second choice and expect the compliment to make up for it. After a long pause, I looked her in the eyes and said, "There's no need for us to keep pretending." My voice was calm, but inside, I was shaking. I told her I'd start the process for a separation. She nodded. From that point, I pulled back. I stopped trying to fix things. I stopped trying to provide comfort or stability because I knew it was time to let go. We each got lawyers and decided to settle things quietly, without dragging it into court. We handled it like business partners wrapping up a failed deal. It took months of paperwork, calls, and emails. When it was finally over and the last form was signed, she packed her things and moved out. It hurt. I won't lie to you. Those first few weeks after she left were some of the hardest days of my life. I felt like I'd been hit by something I never saw coming, even though, looking back, the signs were everywhere. I'd been in love with someone who had never truly loved me. That kind of realization doesn't just sting, it leaves a deep, heavy ache that doesn't go away overnight. It messes with your mind. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what was real and what was fake. What made it worse was what I found out not long after we separated. Through mutual friends and little slips of conversation, I learned she had already started seeing someone else before she sat me down for that talk. That shattered me. It didn't just feel like she stopped loving me. It felt like I was discarded before she even had the decency to be honest about it. I had been trying to fix something that was already broken beyond repair. She had already emotionally checked out and moved on. That's the kind of betrayal that doesn't just hurt your heart, it bruises your sense of worth. It makes you question your own judgment. How did I not see it? Why did I keep giving, even when it was clear I was receiving nothing back? I thought if I loved her hard enough, it would somehow heal whatever wounds she carried from her past. But the truth is, I wasn't her healer. I was her distraction. And once I stopped being useful, I was left behind. It took therapy to start putting the pieces of myself back together. I sat week after week, peeling back the layers of pain I had bottled up just to survive. There were moments I wanted to scream, cry, walk out, because facing your own truth is hard. But slowly, with time, I started to see it clearly. I had been used. She needed someone to cushion her fall, and I was soft, dependable, and willing. But no one deserves to be loved for convenience. No one deserves to be chosen just because they're there. It still hurts, sometimes. But I've learned that being kind doesn't mean being naive. And giving your heart to someone doesn't mean they're entitled to keep it. It had been almost a year since the separation. No calls or messages. And honestly, I was fine with that. I had worked hard just to steady myself emotionally after what happened. Therapy helped. Time helped. I didn't hate her. I just didn't want to be close to someone who could lie beside me every night and still feel nothing for me. Then, one quiet afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Kathy. I didn't know what to expect. It looked like one of those casual, "Hey, hope you're good" messages. I opened it, glanced at the first line, then locked my phone. I didn't finish reading it. I just didn't see the point in reopening something that nearly broke me the first time. A few days later, she called. Her voice was soft, cheerful even. She asked why I didn't respond to her text. I told her calmly that I was busy. She asked if we could meet up and said it was important. Now, that was the first time in our entire history that I told her no. I had always been available to her, but not this time. I told her I didn't have the time to meet, and if she had something to say, she could say it over the phone. She didn't like that. There was a bit of silence on the line. Then, she started circling around what she really wanted to say. She didn't dive straight in. She began talking about how people often think the grass is greener somewhere else, how it's easy to overlook the person who's always there for you, and how, looking back, she realized she had taken me and everything I did for granted. I didn't interrupt her as I let her speak. Her words weren't a shock to me. I had already played every possible version of that reality in my head during the nights I spent alone, wondering what I did wrong. But hearing her say it out loud, after all this time, it was different. She wasn't just apologizing. She was testing the waters, trying to see if I'd be open to something, maybe not a legal marriage again, but a return to familiarity. Eventually, she said that she wanted us to be close again. Maybe not married, but something familiar. I let out a slow breath and told her the truth. I said, "You used me before, Kathy. I see that clearly now. And I won't lie, I let it happen. I ignored every red flag because I thought love would fix it. That if I just kept being good to you, you'd eventually choose me the way I chose you. But I'm not that man anymore. I'm not your rebound guy. Not again." She jumped in quickly, trying to explain. But I had no energy left to entertain half-hearted rewrites of the past. I stopped her mid-sentence. "Don't," I said. "Whatever you're about to say doesn't change what happened, or what I had to go through to heal from it." And just like that, I ended the call. She tried again after that. A few texts. A couple more calls. But I didn't respond. And, eventually, she stopped trying. I'm almost certain the man she left me for had left her, too. That familiar pattern again. Falling for someone who couldn't love her the way she thought she deserved, and remembering too late that I did. But that wasn't my burden to carry anymore. I had given too much of myself to someone who saw me as a temporary fix, not a forever home. And I refused to be that person again. Some decisions are final. I learned the hard way that when you give your whole heart to someone who never asked for it, never valued it, and only saw it as something to fill their own empty space, you walk away feeling like you were never enough. And that's the first lie I had to unlearn, that I wasn't enough. I was. I just gave everything to someone who wasn't capable or willing to give back. You can love deeply. You can be the kind of partner who shows up, who sacrifices, who tries to build something real. But if the person on the other side is giving you scraps, crumbs, emotional leftovers, you'll eventually starve in that relationship. I did. I was running on fumes, waiting for affection to be given like a reward instead of something natural and mutual. And still, I stayed longer than I should have. I hoped longer than I should have. I ignored the signs because I believed love could fix anything. But love isn't just about what you give. It's also about what gets returned. The second thing I learned is this. If someone is willing to use the good in you to heal themselves and then toss you aside when they feel whole again, don't give them a second shot at breaking you. Kindness isn't weakness, but unguarded access after betrayal is self-destruction. When someone shows you they only value your presence when it's convenient, when they remember what you did only after someone else fails them, don't go running back. You're not their second chance. You're not their emotional safety net. You're not the rebound they circle back to when the world gets cold again. Is my life perfect now? No. It's quiet. Sometimes lonely. But it's peaceful. I may be alone, but I'm no longer being drained by someone who never truly saw me. And that's a kind of freedom I'll never give up again. Thank you for watching. And if you've ever felt like I did, I hope you find the courage to walk away too. Because you deserve better than crumbs.